Dave Palumbo with RX Girl Training. I am here with IFBB Pro bodybuilder Tonia Moore, and we are here in the off season doing a little back training at Metroflex Gym in Long Beach, California. Welcome, Tonia.
Thank you, Dave.
Let's give our viewers a little overview of your career. You turned pro at the 2001 NPC Nationals. You won the middleweight class down there, and I believe you competed as a pro for a year or so.
Yes, my career's kind of been up and down. So I came back. I did my pro debut probably about 5 years later after I turned pro in 2006.
Now you took some time off because, and this is important because your whole career has been kind of peppered with this. A lot of people probably don't know you that well, and it's because you've taken long periods of time off. Initially, after turning pro, what was the reason you had taken off that big length of time?
Oh, I just had, life hit me. I was dealing with just marriage problems and stuff like that. So things like that kind of need a little focus, and you need to focus on those things to get sorted out. And that bodybuilding and competition is a total mental mind game, so you really have to put your mindset to it. So I wasn't able to focus on that at that time. So definitely I focused on what was going on in my life, and I need to reorganize and reset myself. And so that's why I took the time off. It really interfered with my bodybuilding career. So just life in general, marriage, anybody who's married probably can relate.
I was married, I know. So you take 5 years to finally make your pro debut. You do it in Atlantic City. You weren't happy with your placing. Went back to the drawing board. Talk to me what happens from there.
I went back to the drawing board, took some time off, like 2007. And I understand, it's, you got to stay, competitively on the circuit and kind of run a wheel for a while, let them get to know your face and your name. And I think the transition that I went through, too, because I was known on the national level and turning pro as Tonia Villalobos.
That's right.
So when I came back to make my pro debut, I was in that sticky transition. So I was Tonia Moore Villalobos, just so I could start bringing in my name before I officially got divorced. And then I officially didn't get divorced until 2007. So now I'm coming back in 2008 to do 2 shows back to back. Now as my maiden name, Tonia Moore, my birth name. So of course, the consistency in the name and my face being seen on the scene hasn't been, consistent. And they're like, okay, now who's this? They don't know who my name is.
The funny thing is, though, Moore is so much easier, obviously, but people knew you as Villalobos. That's what the problem was. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think Moore is better.
That's right.
And so, I did the Tampa Pro Show and the Europa. So, I placed, I think 7th or 8th, somewhere around there. And, the Tampa show, I wasn't as dialed in as I wanted to be. I definitely came in and brought in a better package at the Europa. But during that time, I was dealing with health issues.
Now let me stop you because I don't want you to talk about the health issues yet. I want to talk a little bit about what I'm looking at here because we're doing you're training back here, but you're doing some very unconventional stuff. You're pulling weights across the gym here. Now I know Metroflex is a hardcore gym. What are you doing and what's with this different type of, I would call it almost athletic functional training you're doing?
Definitely. I'm definitely coming back with a whole new approach. I'm just trying to make sure my physique stays streamlined because when I got sick, I lost a lot of muscle mass. So now I'm retraining the body, and I'm keeping it more streamlined, athletic approach, more I want to keep my lines, and thank God that, due to good genetics and muscle memory after being sick, that I have what I have that came back. So that training there is definitely functional. It's getting deeper, hitting the muscles much more deeper, core stimulation, stabilizers, really focusing on certain body parts, and also eccentric moves that don't put pressure on the joints. So it's really awesome training.
So you're basically reinventing yourself yet again after this this go around.
Again.
Let's talk about what happened, because I think this is very relevant. When you talk to me about it, it was kind of touched my heart a little bit, because I can only imagine what it must have felt like. You get diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Talk to me about the day you got diagnosed. What happened?
Well, when I got diagnosed, the funny thing is I already kind of knew I had it, doing my research back and forwards and on the internet. I kind of already had myself diagnosed.
What were your symptoms?
Based on the symptoms, oh gosh, it's not pretty.
No.
But like rectal bleeding, massive diarrhea in the bathroom a lot. Talking about I just might as well sleep in the bathroom like 20 trips a day or more. Malnutrition, dehydration, high fevers, 104, my body just going into convulsions, a lot of things.
Did you think you were going to die? I mean, that's usually what people describe when they go through this stuff.
Basically, I had the most excruciating pain, hit to my right side. So when I was in the hospital, I'm blessed to have a great family that stepped up to the plate, that was there for me every day. Friends that came to visit, a great, backbone of support for me, and it's very. I became very humble at that point, because I was always this strong person that thinks that I can do everything on my own and independently and by myself, and I never really liked to ask for help, and this was my breaking point to ask for help. So they helped pull me through. Did
you have to, at some point surrender? Because I've noticed I've been interviewing a lot of people who've overcome adversity, myself included. And at some point, it seems like everyone has to just surrender to what they're going through and give up control almost in order to regain control at a future date.
Exactly. So that exactly is what happened. I just had to, my body and everything was taken literally down to senior citizen status, kind of, I wore diapers in the hospital,
wow, yeah.
So, and then to have the nurses, they really took care of me, and the looks, everybody just was amazed. They're like, that I was the youngest person in there where I was at, and to, how little you must feel like, hey, asking the nurses, do you guys have diapers in here? And they're looking at me crazy, like, aren't you too young? And I'm like, you just don't understand. My body is I have no control of what's going on over my body. And yeah, it hits you hard mentally, because I'm laying there looking at this body that's looks like decomposed almost from, because I know what I came from and what I look like, and
right.
to sit there and look at me like skin and bones, literally, and I'm just like, gosh, am I going to be like this forever? Am I going to, is this going to...
It's humbling. It's humbling for certain.
Yeah.
So when did you finally start, gaining weight again and getting better? Did they get you on the right medications, or did you take an active approach yourself in doing things? What turned it around?
Well, when I finally got out the hospital, I was in the hospital for about 2.5 weeks. I got out. They waited for my white blood cell count to go down, the infections to go down. So I got out. My family took care of me. My friend that I lived with, she took care of me, and, they helped me out a lot. I went and started going into remission. So I was just on some medications like prednisone and certain other medications for my condition, and I was getting better. So this was, July 2009, and then, August, I just had to learn how to, slowly regain my strength. I would just, do little walks, tiny 10-minute walks or whatever. So that's how I started coming back. But in December of 2009, I relapsed. So I was back down again for another, 4.5 months. So right after Christmas... Yeah, right after Christmas in 2009, I was back in bed, basically, I might have had a good couple hours out of each day to come out and do something and train a client or, you know, work. So I was back down. So when I got out the hospital, I was gaining weight. I was up to about 130, 135. I was going back up. And so when I relapsed again, I ended up back down to about 105 pounds. So, and it was in April of 2010, which is last year, I finally started going into remission. You know, people might not believe in miracles or, you know, stuff like that, but I had a neighbor pray for me, and then I fought the deadly infection. I ended up with the intestinal infection again that almost killed me the first time. So I had to fight that again, expensive medications, and then after that I was approved through my insurance for infusion treatment. So that's what I do now.
What does that mean? What is infusion treatment?
I go to the, it's called Remicade, and I go to the hospital every 8 weeks to the infusion center, and I sit there for about an hour and a half, and they infuse me with the drugs.
Oh, wow. And that works. That seems to keep everything under control.
Yeah, so it's definitely helped out a lot, and because I have internal what they call fistulas, so that's what to help heal that.
Holes in your intestines, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and plus they cut out part of my intestine, so I'm missing about a third of my large intestine.
Right, so you had some surgery on that too.
Yeah, so they did they reattached the large to the small, and so that's, so when I come back, I'm going to be sporting a nice scar down my stomach, and I'm very proud of my scar.
When are we going to see you on stage again? When is this going to happen?
I will be coming back in April 14th, 2012, over in Culver City at the IFBB Pro Grand Prix. So I'm on a mission to make my comeback, and
Are you going to do women's physique? You're going to do, is that right?
I'm doing women's physique. So I'm very excited about this because I started seeing you guys talk about this women's physique in the forums, and actually I got really excited seeing that because during that time, it was last year around April or so, I think. I was just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm small and skinny, 105. What am I going to do? I want to come back. Am I going to do bikini now? Or am I going to do figure or what? So after I seen you guys, yeah. So I'm like, so I started eyeballing and keeping an eye on what's going on in the bikini and figure, and then I caught in the forums like you and Bob Chicharrillo and all, like talking about physique, and I'm like, what's this physique? So I got excited and inquired, of course, and I think I contacted you and Bob, and I'm like, hey, you think I'd be a good fit for this? And you guys were like, yeah, so I think this is where it's going to be a good thing for me. I'm really excited.
So all this different type of training I'm watching you doing, is this because obviously if you start doing the conventional bodybuilding training, you might get too big at this point because you tend to put muscle on you.
Exactly, because it's funny that I lost all that weight and I didn't think that I was going to gain what I did have. I'm so amazed at how the body is. It is totally amazing. So I'm so excited, and I'm happy and very pleased with the muscle that has come back. And this is without even consistently training on a regular basis. This is just like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym today, and I'm gonna do this today. So I'm really excited. So now I'm training and doing something different, but I definitely not trying to put on size. So I'm being very careful with that, doing different types of training.
Are you able to eat normally now like a bodybuilder, or do you have to change? Is your diet different since the surgery?
My diet is still under watch. Not too many vegetables. So, I can't take in a lot of vegetables.
Probably not a lot of nuts either. I bet you that bothers you.
Yeah, no, not a lot of nuts. I don't do dairy and things like that. But fortunately, I don't have problems eating anything. So I'm very lucky for that because every Crohn's patient is different. Some people might not even be able to enjoy a glass of wine, and they're going to wreak havoc. Right. I can do all the things that most Crohn's people say that they can't do. So I'm very fortunate with that. So but I still have to definitely watch my diet. I don't want to, you know, abuse the fact that, you know, take advantage of the fact that I do have a condition. I just go with careful approach. I'm working with Chris Albert over at Ventureflex, and he's helping me with my diet and my training. So he's kind of guiding me. He has ulcerative colitis, so he knows the condition.
Similar, yeah, very similar.
Yeah, so very similar. So so he takes my menus into consideration with my condition. So he's got, you know, meal plans out for me, and he does things in phases and watches how my body responds. And so I'm very excited to see how this all turns out. The training is, like I said, very different, not your normal bodybuilding training. So
we're looking forward to seeing you up on that stage and make your comeback for the second time in your career, and it might be the best one yet.
I'm excited, and not only just excited to come back, but I'm excited at the fact that it's going to be here locally on the West Coast. You know, I've grew up doing NPC shows with John Lindsay, and I love the fact that I get to come back and do a John Lindsay show and be local, because now this is a chance for all my family and friends to actually come in and participate at, you know, and be part of my journey and actually visualize and witness firsthand and see me on stage at the actual event instead of just waiting for it to pop up online or something, because I traveled East Coast.
Right, true. Looking forward to seeing you up on stage, though. For now, we're out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with Tonia Moore.